for watching, listening to us, wherever you get your podcast. We're going on a journey of really self-discovery and looking to be the best version of ourselves. I hate people say that's such a cliche, but it's really the intention to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And every time you see us, you're going to see somebody, a new person is going to talk about what we're going through in our lives and how we're getting through it. And it's great to go through it together. We talk about quarantine buddies, Maximilian, thank you for being here.
What's up?
Tell the folks a little bit about you and what you do for a living.
Sure. First of all, thanks LJ for running all these cables in the video. Thank you, Keon, for having me here. My name is Maximilian AM. I'm a marketing consultant. I'm a business development consultant, primarily for entrepreneurs and creatives. I come from the creative industries and music, and as a probably early 20s, I was a creative. I liked making music, but I didn't know anything how to make money using my trade, this skill that I had. So after I went into corporate America, I was a software developer because I actually had to make money at some point. I had to start adulting. I started learning in software. I learned all about apps, and Facebook is nothing but code, and Instagram is code, YouTube is code. It's all just algorithms, and users generate content and input into the algorithms, and the algorithm says, well, this is good content, this is bad content. The good content gets pushed to more people. And so I started teaching people. At first I had to learn for myself, but then I taught creators, well, this is how you make good content. Because when you make good content and you post it the right way, you play along with the algorithm's guidelines. When you play along, it rewards you with more exposure.
Like a game.
You show up on the Explore feed, you show up on their For You page, and you go viral, right? If you can learn how to play along, you can go viral. But going viral is not the destination, the goal. The goal is converting that attention into some sort of sales, whether you're selling music, streams, or YouTube views, or you're selling products, merchandise, retail. It's just a matter of branding, marketing, social media, all of that.
What's the biggest mistake that people make in this journey of social media?
Biggest mistake is doing it selfishly, creating selfishly, which that's what artists do. Artists just create. When I made music, it was a cathartic sort of therapeutic experience where I created just because I like making music, and I never really showed anybody. So the biggest mistake a creator can make is just create, but not have their audience in mind, because eventually the audience will feel alienated. Like, it doesn't seem like I support this creator so much, but I don't feel the reciprocity. Yes, they're creating and putting things out, but there's a disconnect. So creators very much need to do community management, where they're paying attention to the comments, paying attention to the DMs, and saying like, okay, my people want this. Yes, I can do projects where it's just for me, and it makes me happy, but I got to give them what they want, because if they're supporting me, and whether they're paying me or they're supporting me with engagement, I got to make sure that I'm giving them what they came for.
It's an interesting perspective on making content for your audience. And sometimes I'll see things that pop up and say the people who support you the most are people you probably never met. Let's dissect that for a moment. Yeah. What do you think when you hear that?
Well, because the people you grew up with, the people who know you best, don't necessarily understand what you're going for. Your parents, your friends, college, your colleagues and your coworkers, they know you by proximity. You're next to them, so that's why they know you. But they don't necessarily understand your creative ambition. It's like, you work side by side with a guy for 5 years, but he still doesn't get why you like making music or doing YouTube. Like, he doesn't get it. But the person across the world, or even, down the street, you've never met before, but they found you on YouTube, you have similar sort of viewpoints, similar values, and similar ambitions. So now there's a whole, community of people that you've never met before who are kind of just like you. Sometimes you're higher than them in terms of skill level and experience in a certain trade, like making YouTube videos. So I'm sure, like you doing all this content, there's plenty of people who are like, one day I'll be like Keon and make, YouTube once a week, and I'll have a great, content and Whereas there's people above you who you're like, I want to make content like them, right? Or I want their career sort of like idolizing, or want to sort of model their career for yourself.
How the pandemic, I know, made everybody shift. I think some people have excelled, and I think many people have excelled, and it's great. How did you fare? Not just in your business, but in your personal. How did you fare?
I mean, I withdrew a little bit. Most of us went into quarantine, and so we all withdrew physically. And so I was just trying to figure out what can I make money with? So but I told you before we went on camera that I had quit my job, my software development corporate job, 6 months before the pandemic hit.
Sheesh.
I was trying to be an entrepreneur. I was like, what value can I bring to the market? I had skills in building websites. I had audio engineering skills where I could help. I guess I could record people in studio. I don't want to do that anymore. That's a field I left a long time ago, but it's a skill set that I had.
Yeah.
So I was like, what can I do? What can I offer to customers that I can make a living, but that I still enjoy? It's work that I enjoy. I could have made good money staying at my job, but I didn't enjoy the work. So let me figure out what I like to do and who's going to pay for that. And so it took me a long time, and I'm still just kind of getting that right. Yeah. So how did I fare? Money's tight right now. It's been a slow season. So all I can do is actually have a plan for I like to reverse engineer things. So if I made a bunch of money, what happened right before I made a bunch of money? Well, someone signed a check. Well, what happened right before that? Well, they were convinced that what I had to sell them was worth that check. So what happened right before that? I had a pitch that was clean, just like a solid pitch. So let me develop that pitch so that I can then complete those steps and finish the reverse engineer type thing, right? So I'm in that sort of stage right now. I'm like, what is my pitch? What am I really selling? And how big could I make that price point?
So you are doing a great job at helping people kind of develop their personal brand, right? What is the first thing you would say to somebody as they are going on their journey to develop their personal brand?
I think identify idols, and not idols in religious ways, but just identify people who are doing something that you respect and that you admire. Be like, you know what? I like the way person A just presents themselves. It doesn't even necessarily matter, but the branding, I like their values. I like the organizations that they work with, whether they do charity or not, or I like the work that they do. Just find people that you like and find at least 3, and then say, let me kind of create my myself after the elements that I've picked from those 3. And now you're sort of in the beginning, as an amateur, you're a Frankenstein of your references and your influences. And as you get better, you'll get better at combining them. And those rough edges of the Frankenstein will be now this smooth. You'll rough out the edges, and now you'll be your own thing. People will only think you're original when they don't recognize your references. Right? And that's actually something I learned from a book called Steal Like an Artist, which is a wonderful book. It's all about, like I said, take your references, take what you want from them, and make your own thing. And now, yes, you've kind of taken from people, but as long as you pay homage and you respect sort of where it came from, whether it's the culture or the art form, you could take it and run with it because you can elevate the form.
What, as far as way of being, is required to be successful as a personal brand? A way of being, if I were to start, I would say humility, or risk taking, or compassion. So in that kind of vein, what kind of way of being would you associate with successful personal brands?
A way of being. First, let me toss my bracelet real quick.
Okay.
Because it's jiggling.
Okay.
A way of being. When you said compassion, I think that's really key. But a way of being. My word has always been authenticity. For sure, authenticity, where I can only be myself. Yeah. And I by copying references, I can sort of fake it till I make it. That's the way to go. But being authentic the entire way is a surefire way to protect yourself from people who would poke at you and say you're nothing but a copy of who you're trying to be. I'm like, no, I mean, sure, why not? I've learned from them, but I'm also, can't you see that I'm being authentic and I'm sincere and genuine? And it's not just authenticity, but it's also an attitude of service.
Yeah.
It's all about service. I can't just do it for myself. If I'm doing, I quit my job so that I could help my creative friends make a living doing what they love. That's why I do it in the first place. One, because I'm more happy when I'm doing that. Fulfillment, authenticity and fulfillment have always been my thing. And service is something I've added recently. Now that I've become an entrepreneur, how do I, make money? Well, I provide a service. So all those three things is a fulfillment. How can I be happy with the work that I do? Authenticity. It's just, how can I just be real? Because then you relate and resonate with other people. You need people to have, there's empathy. There needs to be empathy all the time.
Sure.
So there's kind of like 4 words that I've thrown out, but I think they're all super important.
Yeah. Well, let's stay on authenticity. Cause I think, making sure that we are in our not even native voice. I'm just learning a lot in this season of my life as far as leadership and training and development and the spaces that I create and maintain as a leader. As we talk about personality types, we talk about introverts or extroverts, and how, one person said, okay, how can an introvert get a job over an extrovert? I don't know the answer to that, but I know that a great partnership that I have is with an introvert. They love the details. They love the numbers. I like to talk, and I like to be out and share and present. And if you can get somebody like that, that's a great partner. And so there's a way for us to work together and really create a great partnership and a bond and a leader and lead together. So being authentic, because the conversation with the girl came up because she felt like she couldn't be herself. She's an introvert, and she sits next to me and she feels maybe less than because I may command attention, or my presence may do something. I honor her and I respect her, but the way that she feels next to me may not be, I don't know, it's not ideal. I can't really help that, but all I can do as a leader and as a friend and as a human is protect the energy and create a space where she feels loved and supported.
Sure. I mean, if she feels insecure because you're getting more than she's getting in terms of recognition or accolades or even compensation, whatever it may be, rewards, because you attract things by being so, as you say, what's the word?
Authentic?
No, the two that we're saying again.
Introvert, extrovert.
By being an extrovert,
yeah,
you sort of like, hey, look at me. You're more like, and then people are looking at you. Whereas the introvert's like, just like diligently doing work, but nobody's really paying attention. So if she feels insecure because that's just the way it happens, then how can she help that, or how can you help that? One, you can help that by making sure that to always give her flowers. And like you said, you recognize her. And so always encourage her. And whenever somebody compliments you, make sure that give her where credit is due. Say, oh, well, thanks to the whole crew. The same way I thanked LJ before we started is you and I sitting here with these microphones is not without LJ.
For sure.
Right? So
we just sat down and started talking. Yeah.
And so in any moment where you're getting some sort of recognition and she had something to do with it, one way to nip that in the bud of her being insecure is making sure that she gets a little bit of shine, because she's not going to go out and get it herself. She's not going to raise her hand and like, well, I did that. So it's kind of up to you to do it, which is an obligation, which, you can own it or not.
I love this. I love this conversation because this is something that I've dealt with all my life. And I do want to just do a tweak. Yeah. I'm never saying to look at me, because if people really know me, and I hope that we'll get to know each other on this journey, I actually am very comfortable being the number 2. I'm actually very, very comfortable, being, a supporting role, right? But I know what I'm called to do, and my calling supersedes my comfort level. So because I was raised by a pastor and a teacher. So my dad told me I was a child of a king all my life. So when I step into a room, I'm only doing I'm just occurring as I was raised to occur. And so people have called me arrogant. People have called me all kind of things, like I'm a showboat, or I have a shiny spirit, or whatever. It's like, okay, I mean, I get that you have your, what does that mean? What does that even mean? I don't, but that's what I'm saying. So it's almost like, and even I'm saying this because when you're sharing a space with people who have different energies, like you said, there's a responsibility that I have, not that anybody else has. I have the responsibility to share the space, to create a safe space, to do all of that. And that's what I'm talking about. We're doing leadership stuff together. We got to train people on how to do that.
It's sort of, it rings with inclusion. It rings of inclusion.
Well, that's the word now, inclusion.
Yeah.
Yes, you're
and
right.
So, and when I said, look at me, it's not that you're intentionally doing that. It's just like, that's just a result of you. Being a shiny spirit it attracts attention.
Yeah.
So you get the attention just because you're you and your energy, and people are attracted to that energy. And so, like you said, responsibility is a good word for it. With great power comes great responsibility, and now you have other people to take care of. As you lead, as a leader, you do have to take care of the people who are walking with you, even if they don't get, because most of them don't get any shine. The plumbers and the trash sanitation guys don't get any shine. The cops get plenty of shine, and the fire department does too. But they, the trash guys do equally as important work. The sanitation guys do equally as important work, and teachers do too. And so everybody deserves some sort of shine. It's just a matter of who's going to spread it around. Politicians get a lot of shine. Celebrities get a lot of shine that they hardly deserve. But,
I'm just going to say this. When you're authentic, you will understand that everyone is light. Okay. You may think that I have light because I have physical light on me, or that I occur as I'm a shining light. And there's two kinds of people. There's people who see the light and want to be in the light, or mad that they're not in the light. And what I would say is, you are light. You are light. It's inside of you. You are able to do it in your way. And the moment that you get that you have light on the inside and you are light, everything else is available to you. And that's kind of what I had to say that to myself, and I had to create that for myself. And a philosopher probably said it. It's in probably a book. It's probably in a poem or something. But don't be jealous of the light. Understand that your light is within, and let it shine in the only authentic way that it can. Is yours. It's your light. And I just want everybody to know that, because it's draining. You know that meme with what's it called from Housewives? She's like, today drained me. Because I be drained sometimes. It is draining. But I love people, and I love being in environments, and I love being in different spaces with people. And I don't care. I always want to give people shines and their flowers. But guess what? Some people don't want that. That's a part of a leadership distinction in your authenticity. Some people don't want the light. Some people want to be in the background. They thrive in those spaces. They want to be there, and we get to, inside of being authentic, and then having a sensitivity to one another, and having a grace and a listening for people, you start to understand what it is that people need and what they want. And when you start curating a highly functional team, you'll know who needs to be where.
Exactly.
And I don't need to be in the front. They put me in the front because I don't mind, raising my hand first. I don't mind giving my opinion, but that's not to say that I am better than the other. And I certainly don't believe that about myself. And so, I just love this conversation about authenticity, because I can only be myself. And that's all you can be, is yourself.
But we could always be a better version of ourselves. But what you said about, it's this topic of taking care of the people around us. The same way as a leader, we have to look at our people and be like, hey, do you need some water? Like, I know we're working really hard. Do you need a break? Do you need some time off? Whatever the heck they need, you check in with them. It's also, I think, valid to say, do you need some shine? Do you need some recognition?
What does shine look like?
Yeah. What do you need? Do you want me to put your name up higher in the credits? You want your name bigger? Like, the people who don't get any credit, typically because they're introverted, or that their role just doesn't necessarily get them any recognition. It's just a really sort of background role. Asking them, can I shout you out? Like, what would sort of make you feel better? Are you feeling like you're not getting appreciation? So checking in with them the same way you would check in, like, how's your family doing? Or, it's just checking in with your people as a leader, making sure they're good in that sort of realm, because we're talking about this thing about people get jealous. And I would say about the jealousy thing, you said, hey, you could shine too. You don't have to be jealous of me for my thing. You could do the same thing. I think that disconnect comes, it's sort of ignorance, where they actually don't know that they can shine. And that's probably a childhood thing. They weren't reinforced that they could shine.
Wow.
They don't really even know that they can. Some people don't think they can make it out of their hometown type thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely an ignorance thing, not necessarily their fault, but there are, just agreeing that there are plenty of people who don't feel like, well, one, they feel like they don't have it, and so that's why they're mad at you. They feel like, but if only they knew that they could, then maybe they could take steps to fulfill that within themselves.
Yeah, I just feel really emotion in this moment because we know people like that.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that people don't know that they matter, don't know that they are enough and they're in the right place at the right time in their lives. And that just because things are not happening as it runs in your mind or in your brain doesn't mean that you're wrong or that you're not doing what you're doing correctly or whatever. It hurts me to know that. And I know people like us are called to something so much bigger on a global scale. And that's why we're having these conversations, and that we can hopefully identify those situations and really be able to kind of like, contribute in a meaningful way. But it's very painful to hear that people don't know they matter.
And you know what? You said, some people feel like they don't know that they're enough, right? They're not aware. They don't recognize that they're doing just fine if they just keep going and being consistent. I think just out of compassion, and hopefully I can say this in a nice way, I think there are some people who do recognize that they're not doing enough, and that they're not enough, and that they've made poor decisions, whether in career or family. And it's just like, damn, I put myself in a situation and it kind of sucks. So there's plenty of people who just feel down. And in the spirit, I don't know if inclusion is a word, but in the spirit of inclusion, they need a little support. It's sort of like affirmative action, but not really. It's like when they've fallen behind in the race just because of poor decisions or even just tragedies in their life.
Sure.
They need a little, little bump. Let's catch you up to us. Right. So I'm sure there are plenty of programs, even governmental programs like EBT or whatever type of supplemental programs that there are. Sometimes it's not just resources. Sometimes it's like we were saying, how can we catch somebody up sort of mindset or spiritually? It's like, you can do anything you want to do.
Well, I hope that's what this is, because,
Yeah, it really is, because anything that, things like this, it's a work of encouraging people and raising awareness and inspiring them to just do their thing. And that's really my work, for sure. That's always been, I made that series that I just created called Loving a Living.
Talk about it. What's up with Loving a Living?
Loving a Living is once a week. It's a newsletter. I call them episodes, but the episodes are in different forms because people like to read, people like to watch, people like to listen. So it's a newsletter, it's a YouTube series, and it's going to be a podcast soon. I'm just going to take the audio from the video and make it a podcast. So people can consume these episodes in different ways, and there will be short form content to kind of like just give them snippets of it. But Loving a Living, if you look at the branding, the logo, loving is replacing the word earning. And when you look at it, it says earning a living, but I crossed out with a red ink and then I wrote loving. And so earning a living, yeah, we all got to work. You got to work. You got to pay bills. That's what it is. But can you love your work? And that's what my life is about. That's why I quit my job. It's like, well, I'm making $70K a year, but I don't love what I do. Let's see if I can make $70K a year doing something I love and like being proud of the work that I do. So I'm still on that journey. It's like, let's go ahead and let's do it. So that's what Loving a Living is. Every week I'm going to start putting out episodes. But I forgot how I got here. But my point was that whole series is about encouraging people to love a living. And whether that means quitting their job or even not so drastically, just moving into a different department within the same company, asking your boss, hey, I really want to try that department. Can we like make this transition? That's one. That's a less sort of dramatic way to move in career.
It's creative too.
Yeah. Just telling your boss, hey, I know I've been in finance for like years, but I'm really interested in marketing, whatever the heck. It's
all about the pitch, because I'm doing the same thing with my boss right now. There's a new job, there's a new role that's coming on, and I have one job, but I think I can do both. So he said, well, it's all about the pitch. You're gonna have to sell us on this.
Yeah.
And it's again, personal branding. How are you going to pitch yourself to get into that? What is the pitch?
What's the pitch?
Make it make sense for me, please. Make it make sense. And so I'm working on it. Let me see what's going on. See, number 1, health and well-being. 2, fulfillment. 3, upward mobility, growth, happiness. Do I want to be happy where I'm at? This is what's going to make me happy.
But it's not all about you. And so the pitch is it's really about them. How do they benefit? And so we were talking about putting together a pitch. And this actually relates to how creators make mistakes as well. It's all about them. But how does the audience benefit? What is the pitch? If somebody says, hey, you do a newsletter? Yeah, I do a newsletter. It's like, why should I pay attention? That's the question. Why should I pay attention?
Excellent. I love that.
And it's just like,
why should I?
Are you an entrepreneur? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. You're like, how do you stay motivated or encouraged or, inspired or get new ideas? It's like, well, they might say, oh, I read this or I watch that. Or they might say, I don't know. I don't really have a source. That's what this is. I'm that source for encouragement and inspiration and motivation and community.
Yes.
Because I am building might be a Facebook group or a Discord server, but people are going to come together and we're going to encourage each other because community is so important. I'm reading a book called Tribes by Seth Godin, who is a master marketer. You have to have a mission, something that you're striving for. And then people will come along and say, hey, I agree with you. I want to work on that too, that cause. And so it's your responsibility as the leader to create a channel of communication so that it's not just audience member to leader, a one-way sort of communication. It's audience member to leader or leader to audience member because the leader's communicating to them. And then it's audience member to audience member. So it's saying, hey, did you hear what leader said? He's like, yeah. How can we apply that? And then they start talking. It's peer to peer. And now it's a community of people who are bringing in more people. And now they're talking. The point though, the most powerful way to do it is that these people are not just communicating about, hey, did you see what he did? Yeah, that was cool. It's more like, hey,
apply.
Did what he said make sense to you? How can we apply it? How can we even evolve it or iterate it? And then let's bring it back to him and give him some feedback. And then, they bring it to the leader. The leader says, that's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. My next episode is going to be on that. Thank you. And now this community has ownership, not so much equity, but they have ownership and they feel like they've contributed to this thing that the leader's doing. And now they're so much more invested. And now they're bringing in more people. It's like, hey, do you have an idea for this next episode? Like, let's talk about it. Like, and now you kind of have like this focus group who's like creating ideas for you.
And they feel heard. They feel included. They feel in on the process. It's not just like we delivering this gift to you. It's almost like it's custom. It's curated from the conversation. And then
it's actually what it should be. It's not about the leader. The leader is what I think of myself. My metaphor is like I've built a train. This is how I sort of stay on my entrepreneur stuff is, it's been almost 3 years. Money's tight now. So I'm like, damn, should I give it up and get a job? And the way I see it is I've built a train and I've laid down a bunch of tracks. And the train is on the tracks. And, right now I'm pushing the train with my own effort because there's not enough money to pay for fuel right now. It's not enough money. I can barely afford rent. So I'm pushing along this train, but there's a bunch of people on the train. All these people who are watching me, all my followers, everyone who engages is communicating with me. And the things that I say, they say, hey, I heard what you said. It really resonated. I applied it. So there's a bunch of people on the train. I can either abandon the train and go work on somebody else's company, or I can just continue to push the train along. But really, how can I monetize? That's really the question. And that's what I've been trying to solve since I quit my job is how do we monetize what we create? And so for me, there's so many different streams of monetization for a creator. As you're aware, there could be sponsorships on some sort of YouTube channel. It could be you're a consultant because you do have a skill set and knowledge. It could be some sort of membership for your community. People pay $10 a month. You could sell merchandise directly to your community. So many different ways to monetize. And so I'm trying to figure out what is mine. And how can I get this train fueled so it can run? But the thing about the train is going back to what we said, it shouldn't just be about the leader. It should be about the train. It's about the movement. So people come into the tribe and they're like, yeah, we're fighting for something. We're fighting for something. They're like, what are we fighting for? It's like, not the leader, right? Like, no, it's not just about the leader. It's like he's leading. He's sort of the conductor on the train, but this train is we're gonna solve world hunger. We're gonna solve poverty in this city. We're gonna solve, this athletic club needs new gear. Whatever the movement is, it could be micro, it could be macro, but everybody needs to be fighting for something and trying to solve the problem together. And it's not just about the leader. The leader is just the one who rounded everybody up.
And I'll as we close, I want to say, as far as leadership, it's not about I agree with you that it's not about the leader, but I will say that a function of leadership is facilitation and being able to guide. And if you're coming from a place of, giving instruction and giving guidance, you have to see how it's taken with the crew and with the folks who are watching. And what you're talking about, that peer-to-peer, which is so important. If things go awry, somebody's got to lead and correct course. And so I think that inside of that, no, it's not about the leader, but I think the leader is very important as it relates to making sure that we stay on track. But I do agree that the peer-to-peer, how the community takes the vision that's been set from the top, especially the originator, the one who came up with it, and you have this tribe, you still need to have someone that is going to be like, yo, let's go back to source. Yeah. Why are we here? You know what I'm saying? I love that idea. How are we doing that? Let's go. A couple tweaks, you know what I'm saying? And I'm learning how to do that gracefully, authentically, and still let people have their own voice inside of it.
I would love to say one more thing.
Of course.
There's an author named Henry Miller, right? From like the 1890s to 1960, I don't know. But he was really controversial. But his whole thing was, in an interview on YouTube, and I can send it to you because I loved it. He said, the interviewer said, Henry, not everybody can be like you. Not everybody is a creative and a wonderful thinker and creator. Lots of people are just regular folk, right? And Henry said, I think that's not right. I think everybody has the capacity to create something, and it doesn't have to be movies or music. The gardeners, they create plants, and it's a beautiful garden. A chef creates beautiful cuisine. A school teacher sculpts minds. It's like everybody has a talent. It could be fitness, yoga. It could be freaking anything. It doesn't just have to be art. So everyone is, some people are just regular folk. My dad's worked at FedEx for his whole life, but he picks up the guitar and he sort of enjoys playing guitar. And so there needs to be a facilitation of people who are behind in the race of personal and creative fulfillment. There needs to be someone who says, oh, you like guitar? You should pick that up, bro. Let's go to a concert. Let's see. If my dad likes something, I'm gonna be like, oh, dude, you like pottery? I signed us up for a class. Let's go, dude. It's like having someone on. It's
like a hype man. It's like
everyone needs a hype man.
Yeah.
Especially the ones who don't recognize that they're worthy of even being creative. Like they don't think they have it in them, or they don't think they have it in them to be an entrepreneur or make more than $20 an hour.
Well, I'm going to look right into the camera and tell whoever that is, if that is you and you're feeling right now that you are in a rut and you're stuck and you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you feel like you don't see anything beyond where you are, whether it's geographically or your hometown or just your job, you don't think that anything is possible for you, I invite you to think of it from a different perspective. Think about what would life be outside of that. You have everything that you need in your life, in your heart, in your mind. It's in it. It's in you. Activate it.
Manifestation.
Get around people who speak big. Get around people who talk big. What they say, think big.
Yeah.
Find those people that inspire you, whether it's music, whether it's a person at your job, someone that on YouTube. Find somebody that inspires you and create a moment where you're always being inspired. And I guarantee you, and I hope that you can agree with this, Maximilian, that if you surround yourself with positive vibes, information, just big energy, you're going to be increased. It's almost like somebody's going to grab you up and throw you out. You're going to catapult you into another stratosphere if you surround yourself by that energy. But you got to create it. It starts with you. We can talk till we're blue in the face, but if you don't act, if you don't apply it to your life, you'll continue to be stuck. But we're here for you. Master yourself. I'm giving Maximilian the last word, and then we're going to go. Max.
I think that was huge. manifestation, affirmation, visualization. I'm listening to a YouTube video that's 7 hours long. It's probably just a loop of every 30 minutes, but it's this lady saying, I am wealthy and I can take a vacation whenever I want and I can provide for my family every day. And I'm so happy. And, I'm so creative and I live a life. I have so many streams of passive income. So it's just a bunch of affirmations.
Yeah.
And I used to think that was kind of corny. Like, no, that's a damn lie. I'm not wealthy, but we have to hit the subconscious and knock it out of this negative rut. And so it's with that affirmation and manifestation. So find your manifestations and your affirmations and repeat it. I am worthy. That's a good one. I am on my path and I am doing what I love. Like, and even if that doesn't feel like it's true, like there's a dissonance, eventually it will be true if you continue to hit that.
Hit the nail.
Yeah.
Hit the nail on the head. There you have it, guys. You are enough. You're at the right place at the right time. Here with us on Master of Self. We'll be here next time with another great episode, a great person. Maximilian AM, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Learned a lot today and looking forward to all that we create in the future. And so let's stay on this journey to be the master of self.